With the easing of restrictions in New South Wales, we thought we'd give you a couple of tips and tricks to help out to resume your rally day. With the easing of the public health orders earlier in May, Pony Club New South Wales on the 22nd of May said that clubs can go back to holding their rally days. That is for a group of 10 to train together, okay? The difference is that your venue may be big enough to have more than one group of 10, but that's what your committee needs to decide. Overall, any single outdoor venue may only have a maximum of 500 people. So you're going to need to sit down and work out how you're going to manage that and how many groups you might have at your rally day. And if your grounds are shared by another organisation, then you're going to have to take that into consideration as well. So what does that mean for your club? Your club committee is going to need to hold a meeting, whether that be face-to-face or whether it's going to be online. That will be up to you guys to determine. You'll need to check with your local council to see if they are willing to open the grounds or if they have any other restrictions that they would like put in place. It's also worthwhile checking with your local police to let them know that you're going to resume your activities, especially if you're going to have more than one group of 10 on your grounds at any one time. Pony Club New South Wales have put together an example risk assessment document. It's under the management tab, then go to risk assessment on our website. That document is to help you manage your return to sport, and it is an example only, but can be changed so that you can, put in things that are specific to your club, your venue, etc. The committee will then need to determine, based on the size of your venue, the areas that you have, any way of sectioning off further areas, how many groups of 10 you can have at that venue. You're then going to need to put some clear signage up. Some of that signage will be to remind people to stay socially distanced. Some of that signage will also be to direct people on how to get to that area and how to get back from that area. So best practice is one way in and one way out so that you're not passing each other closely, etc. Keep in mind what some of the retail stores are doing. So one way in, another way out, so people are not, interacting as much as they were in the past. Once the committee is determine the number of people that they can have on the grounds at any one time, you need to document that, okay? So don't forget that those groups will include your organising committee, any volunteer instructor, all the parents that might be there, any of the gear checkers that you would normally have, if you've got grandparents that turn up and help out, etc., and whether or not that's a good idea for the grandparents to be there. If they're at risk age group or immune systems, then you might want to suggest that they don't turn up. So each group must be no more than 10. Okay, if you decide that you're thinking of doing a activity with some jumps, then you're going to have the instructor there. You might have 2 parents who help pick up poles. That's taken 3 people out of your group of 10 already. Okay, so be very mindful that anything that you put together must only have 10 people in it. We're recommending that gear checkers do not touch any rider or gear. Therefore, you're going to need to hold gear checks with the parent may be there if the child's not old enough to help out with a gear check and touch things or readjust things. This is a perfect opportunity to explain to parents, what the right gear is, why that particular piece of gear needs to be changed or checked or even done up a little bit better. So it's a good opportunity to, take a little bit more time and do a bit of explanation. Hopefully that will educate our parents and riders a little bit more as well. The organising committee are going to have to think about things like cleaning the venue and all of the equipment. So this is before, during and after the rally day. And who's going to provide all of that cleaning equipment and any of the PPE that you might want to have on hand? Is the club going to provided? Are you going to ask for a donation from members? You're going to ask them to bring their own. Whatever you want to do, that's entirely up to you, but you guys need to determine that. Once the club committee has decided the number of groups of 10 they can have, then they need to determine what type of system they are going to use to book in riders, for riders to nominate for the rally day. My Pony Club has the event management system that will let you set up a rally day. It'll give the people the opportunity to nominate. You can either have it as free or a small charge. That might be where you get your little bit of funding for your extra cleaning equipment that you need, but it's all there. It'll also give you the report to say who will be there on, or who should be there on the day. You need to make sure that you use some form of booking system so that everybody understands that they cannot just turn up, that they may only come if they have nominated. Then you will need to determine, your communication process, how you're going to communicate to your members exactly what you want them to do when they get to the rally day. My Pony Club has the communications tab, social media, your normal emails, etc. However you want to communicate, you need to communicate with them clearly and effectively. You will, as a committee, need to have somebody greet people as they arrive. This is a good opportunity to check that they are current members and that they are on the list. It is also a great opportunity to check, to take any forms, etc., that you might need to see. All attendees, whether that is the rider, parent, volunteer, etc., need to complete a COVID-19 self-declaration form. These need to be handed in, I would suggest, at the entrance. The person who greets the people checks off that they are on the list. And that they are financial members if they're riding, etc. Could also be the person who opens and closes the gate to help ease the possibility of cross-contamination, etc. at that point. You will probably need somebody to do that on the way out as well. Attendees or everybody needs to be ready to go for the day. So any rider needs to be dressed in uniform or whatever you've said they need to wear for the day. And then they just need to saddle up and put their helmets on, ready for gear check. Gear check will be different. We've already talked about that, so you need to be mindful that you might have to have a number of areas dedicated for gear check, not just the one area. You're going to need to limit the use of facilities available on the day. We're suggesting that clubhouses don't open. The canteens are certainly not open as they would normally. You might like to check with your local council to see if they have any restrictions on you maybe doing a takeaway service. If they allow the takeaway service, then maybe what you could do is have a menu and an order form, ask people to fill it in, pay for it, and then someone go out and deliver the food or the items to everybody across the grounds. That's going to put more pressure on your volunteers, so it's up to you whether or not you deal with that. But it's a way of still getting some funds in through your canteen. Obviously, you're going to need to comply with whatever your local council says about that as well. Everyone needs to practice good hygiene. They're suggesting, or all the sporting organisations are suggesting, that everybody has showered before the event, that they, obviously wash their hands during the event, before they eat, when they've been to the bathroom, all those sorts of things. Even if you think that you might have touched something that someone else has touched, that's a really good idea to either wash your hands or use hand sanitizer. Everybody needs to social distance, and that is something that we're going to need to remind everybody of constantly throughout the day. Equestrian sports, by their very nature, encourage social distancing, so that's going to make it easier for the riders while they're mounted. But what happens when they're off the horse, when they want to get with their friends and have a chat, etc.? Now, as much as kids are allowed to go back to school, we also need to be mindful that there may be people who are at the venue that will have cross contamination with the children as well. So keep everybody social distance. Don't let anybody go too close to each other. You might need to put somebody in charge of making sure that everybody, including the parents, remember to social distance at all times. So that's just one more thing to add to your list. Make sure that you understand that there are probably a few more roles that people are going to have to fill, and make sure that is easy enough for you to do as a committee, or maybe have less people at the grounds to start with. Okay, just a quick summary. Preparation is key. Okay, so make sure that you do everything before you start advertising that your rally days are going ahead. Communicate with your local authorities, local council, police, etc. Make sure that they're all on board before you start. Set up your rally day event so that people can register and you know who's going to turn up. Make sure you have clear signage at the venue saying how to get in and out of places, limiting the time that people are hanging around the toilets, etc. If you're going to use the canteen as suggested, then you need to have clear signage to tell people how that's going to work as well. Allocate your duties to your organising committee. You might need to co-opt a few parents to help out with that as well, but make sure that they know what their duties are. Communicate all of your expectations to your members, okay? They need to know 100% exactly what you want them to do. Don't presume that they will know that social distancing is there and that we're going to have to, do things differently. Make sure you've communicated that really well to them, and continue to remind them as they go along, which is you might need to put somebody in charge of reminding people to continue to social distance, because as the day goes on, people are going to fall back into bad habits. And then finally, review whether or not things worked well. Okay, if it worked well, what else can we do to streamline it, to improve it, to maybe increase numbers, whatever it is that will be stage 2 for you and your rally day resumption. We all know that clubs have been impacted severely, and we're trying to, help as much as we can. Pre-COVID, we didn't have many rally days because of, the drought, bushfire, etc. But we need to make sure that, we manage things as best as possible. Right now, we're just starting to come out of it and recommencing our activities, so we know that they're going to be limited. Numbers may be limited depending on your resources, and what coaches, instructors you have, what volunteers that you can have on the grounds, etc. You may have a lot of great volunteers that are in an at-risk age category, so therefore that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for you as well. The new procedures and following social distancing will continue on, and we need to make sure that we, follow those details as clearly as possible, so that we don't get, any issues with local authorities. We don't want any fines to be given to our members or our pony clubs, and we certainly don't want any further restrictions to be in place because we've not followed those social distancing and public health guidelines. If you've had a look at the risk assessment documents, you'll know that we're taking a 3-stage or phased approach. So from the 22nd of May, we're allowing riders with a group of 10 or a maximum of 10 to be together. Extra biosecurity procedures will be in place, etc., etc. Phase 2 will be 4 weeks after that, as long as public health orders allow. Okay, we don't know that that's going to be the case, but that's what we're hoping for. And then phase 3, again, another 4 weeks from that period, depending on what happens. No matter what happens, we're still going to see limited activities for a while. We're going to see extra biosecurity procedures in place. we're going to still need to follow the public health orders until we get a vaccine, and that vaccine is being used by everybody. That's going to take quite some time. So we're going to have to come to grips with a new normal. Okay, the new normal is what we need to start focusing on. This is a really good time to get back to basics, to enjoy Pony Club, to get back to your friendships, to make sure that people understand that it's not all about winning that ribbon and that competition. It's all about, making good friends, learning about riding and good horsemanship. That's what we need to focus on at this point in time. And if we can do that, then we've all done our jobs, and we really, really appreciate it. The example risk assessments and safe tips, etc., that we've put together are just examples. You'll need to make sure that you document what works best for you and your club. You will need to, maybe change things depending on the number of volunteers, the number of instructors, the number of people that you feel that you're going to be able to safely hold at your ground. So it is only a guideline, but there is plenty of information out there and some training out there as well. There's some information on COVID safe courses via Play by the Rules might be worth looking into. We've provided some examples here of signage for you to use. There's plenty of others on the internet that you can download and use as well. Make sure that if you have anybody going inside, whether it be into your clubhouse because you have to use that to go to the bathroom, that there's clear signage, clear pathways, all those sorts of things. If you need any other help, let us know. We'll attempt to answer your questions or help guide you through. But hopefully we'll start and see some more clubs getting back to their rally days. And again, it will be a different type of rally day. It will be the new normal, and we're really excited to hear hear and see some of your stories.